In my previous video, I talked about how Zurich is creating a network of safe bike routes throughout the city. Recently, the plans for the new route in my neighborhood came out, and it looks like a good improvement from before. The project, which was planned to be implemented next year, would remove 104 parking spaces, or 91% of them, and it would also introduce some new one-way street sections, which should reduce car traffic volumes. Awesome! I won't have to worry about getting doored as much when I'm riding here. Now in Zurich, once plans become public, citizens have the right to object to them if something wasn't considered. And object they did! There have been a total of 480 objections to this project. For comparison, most plans that are made public usually have less than 50 objections. And residents got vocal, even putting up banners across the proposed bike route fighting this development. When objections come, the city has to halt their plans and respond to each one of them, either taking them into consideration or not. They could be small things, like for example, can we move this crosswalk a bit to the left because of this? Or how about we put these taxi spots in a different place? But in this case, most of the objections came from removing so much parking. While I see the importance of the legal process, this does take up the city workers' time and delays the project for the foreseeable future, as a document has to be written up responding to each objection. This can take months or even years. And I found some of the objections interesting. One of them was that with the reduction in parking spots, handymen won't be able to find a place to put their vehicles. I feel this is the most common argument I see in the news, even though it seems that private cars take up these parking spots most of the time. I think the handyman could benefit from using loading and unloading zones, which the project will add more of. Another one was that seniors need to be driven places with private cars, but there are several micromobility options for them in Zurich. Not to mention that the local car sharing service could be expanded, which would allow them to be driven while at the same time using our resources more efficiently and reducing parking demand. But my favorite one was that by removing the parking and the chicanes they caused, the now speeding bikers and cars will pose a danger to the school children. I really don't understand this one. First of all, there will be other safety measures in place, such as raised crossings, which will slow down all traffic. Second, cars and bikes are subject to the same road laws. Namely, they have to stop for pedestrians at crossings and drive the speed limit, which is 30 kilometers an hour. Also, since the street will be made one way for cars, less vehicle traffic is expected. Finally, I find it hard to believe that bikers, who have relatively light vehicles, for the most part barely make it up to 30 kilometers an hour and have a wide range of visibility, pose that large of a risk to school children. In Zurich, there are already roads with similar designs next to schools that have a lot of bikers going through them, and I've never heard of anything happening to any child in the news for the entire time I've lived here due to bikes. By the way, it's not only the route in Wollishofen which has so many objections. There are several other bike routes in the city with plans already made public, but for similar reasons, they are stalled as well. In my opinion, I think that the root of all these objections comes down to the reduction in parking spots. It was already voted on to go with the plan and to remove them, so I feel like these objections are using the legal process to slow down development as long as possible. And I understand. If I had a car and I regularly parked outside in these parking spots, I wouldn't want the city to just take them away. But we should be promoting biking as much as we can due to the various benefits it brings, for example with health, both physical and mental. While these safe bike routes still aren't perfect, I think they push the city in the right direction. Other cities like Paris are making broader steps towards bikeability by banning cars in front of schools. Meanwhile in Zurich, it seems like these safer bike routes won't be done for another 20 years. This is in spite of the number of bikers in the city almost doubling from 10 years ago, with the trend showing no sign of stopping. I just want to ride my bike safely throughout the city, but it seems like it won't be happening anytime soon.